Hey beauty babes, welcome to my channel. I'm Maria, aka Agape Love Girl. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm back with a tag video. I'm going to be doing the Makeup Romances tag. I believe that's what it's called. Yes, the Makeup Romances tag. This tag was created by DellaFera, and she actually created it around Valentine's Day. Yep, she posted it on February 14th, so it's kind of like a Valentine's Day themed tag, but it definitely doesn't have to stick with just a Valentine's. I think it was such a cute tag, and I definitely encourage you guys to go check out her video. I'll link it in the eye as well as in the description box, because she explains the tag and all the different questions so well, and I'm not really going to go into all, you know, the way she explains it, because I want you guys to go check out her video. But I thought it was such a cute tag, and I really was inclined to do it when I saw her, but as I sat and kind of thought about my answers, I actually really had a hard time thinking of the products that I would answer these for. So I just kept thinking, like, I'm not like that hardcore into, you know, my feelings with makeup, I guess. It had a hard time answering these questions, but over time I finally had answers for everything, and so I'm finally here to share with you. Also, I did want to mention really quickly another person that I think you guys should check out, which you guys may have already, because she is becoming so popular, because she created her own tag, the perfect subscriber tag, that I feel like has kind of gone viral, that everybody's been doing. But Katie Marie also did Lauren's tag, and she kind of had a spin on it where she did everything and answered everything with palettes, whereas Lauren answers it more general, makeup in general. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a general and not just palettes. But I did want to mention Katie Marie because I thought her kind of spin off of this tag was really fun and interesting. So anyways, I definitely encourage you guys to check them out. But with that, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so if I'm looking down a lot, it's because I do have my phone in my hand, I have my notes and everything like that, and all the questions. So anyways, that's what I'm doing. I got my phone right here. So number one is the one you're in a committed relationship with. And so this one is going to be a little bit broad, and probably a couple of my answers will be more so broad, not just one specific product. But the makeup product or beauty product that I'm in a committed relationship with would be skincare. Because I kept trying to think, like, what is a product or a specific item that I know, like, is my tried and true, will always use, and that I'm, you know, like, I'm in a committed relationship with. And I couldn't really narrow it down to one specific product. I'm always trying new things, and while I do have favorites, I love testing new products and new things. But one thing, at least specifically in general, is skincare. I know I will always, skincare is a big deal to me. It's something that I will always do, will always be into, and you know, I'm in a committed, we're like this, we're tight, we're married, we're in it for the long haul. Skincare is it for me. And skincare is actually okay, I don't know if you guys can hear, my daughter's bedroom is the next room over this way, and my kids are home on spring break, and I didn't get a chance to film all week because they've been home, but I was like, you know what, it's Friday, I'm gonna film, so chances are you might hear them being loud. She has a friend over, so they're kind of being loud. I also have two boys who are usually very loud. I think I managed to get them to go outside because it is a beautiful day. But anyways, so if you hear any noise, that is just my children. So anyways, back to the first one. I know I'm so long-winded, you guys, I can't help it, but I will just say, anyone who ever asks for advice on getting into makeup, beauty, anything, my first thing that I say before even really getting into makeup, and it's what I told my daughter too, before you get into makeup, get into skincare first. Get yourself into a good skincare routine and take care of your skin before you go into makeup. That is my recommendation. That's what I try to tell everybody, because, you know, when you have a good base, when you're taking care of your skin, it's so much easier and nicer to, you know, to wear and apply makeup and stuff like that when you have, you know, a well taken care of base. And as well, you know, I always get compliments on my skin. I don't have perfect skin whatsoever, but as well as, like, you know, my age. I am gonna be 35 this year in August, and so many people think I'm a lot younger than I am, and I do feel like that attributes to skincare. So anyways, long answer, but I'm in a committed relationship with skincare. Alright, next up, the one you're in the honeymoon phase with. And this one was also really hard for me because I'm like, what is something new that's, you know, fairly new to me that I've been using, but I'm still so in love with it, that we're like lovey-dovey with. And I'm like, I don't know. But when I was doing my makeup recently, I thought, oh my gosh, this is it. It's the Pixie Highlight Duo, one of their glowy Gossamer Duo. I have the shade Subtle Sunrise, and while I've had that for, I think maybe maybe a little bit longer, I would say 2 months now, which I feel like is a fairly long time in the grand scheme of things with the makeup realm, but I still am in love with that highlighter. I still keep gravitating towards it. Even though I have gotten new highlighters, I still keep reaching for that one specific highlighter duo. It's not the one I'm actually wearing today because I'm wearing the new Urban Decay Mother of Dragons highlighting palette. I wanted to try to switch things up, so funny enough, I'm not wearing that today, but that has been my everyday go-to highlighter that I just haven't gotten over yet. I'm still super in the honeymoon phase with that product. So the one you have friend zoned. This one I had the hardest time thinking, like, what is a product that I like, that I can appreciate, but it's not one I want to be in a relationship with, you know what I mean? And when you're trying to think of that in makeup terms, it was just really hard for me. But when I finally thought about it, I was like, oh my gosh, duh, of course this is the product. And this one again is more of a general product, and it is lipstick. Now I do really like lipsticks. There are still some lipsticks that kind of like, I see them, I'm like, oh, I want it. But then I'm like, I never really use lipsticks. I never really wear lipsticks. You know, I'm a gloss girl. I love my lip glosses. I love lip balms. And I do think that lipsticks are wonderful, but they're just not, they're not for me. You know what I mean? I know I never really wear them that often. If I do buy them, I feel like they're kind of a waste of, they're a waste of money because I don't wear them that often. So I would say the one that I friend zoned is just lipstick in general. I really like lipsticks. They're really nice. We can, I hope, stay friends. I wear them every now and then, but we're not in love, you know what I mean? So this is such a fun tag. The one that got away, okay. And this one I knew instantly. It's not often that there are products that I like regret not getting that got away, you know, limited edition or whatever, because most of the time I see limited edition and it doesn't faze me. I really am never that interested in limited edition products. But anyways, there has been one that I still think about, that I still wish I would have gotten. It is the one that got away, and that is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Amrezy palette. That was back when, I feel like it's probably one of their, if not the first eyeshadow palette collab that they came out with. And it was back when like their palettes weren't really that expensive. I think like back then they were only like $32, $33. And so it was a good price, but it was also back in the time where I didn't really ever buy a lot of high-end makeup, and so I was really hesitant to buy, you know, that palette. I thought even though $32 or whatever it was at the time was a good price, I just couldn't get myself to pull the trigger on it at that time. And then it sold out, and then it, you know, it was limited edition, never came back, and I've always regretted it. It was just such a beautiful palette, and I just, yeah, I still think about it every now and again and think like, I really wish I had that palette. I don't really know why, because I have so many palettes, but you know, it's the one that got away, so you can't help but think about it. Number 5 is the one you're currently crushing on. And again, I had a hard time with this too, because I feel like, especially right now, with as much makeup as I have, I don't often find myself lusting after, crushing on, wanting a lot of new makeup out there. A lot of the new makeup that comes out is kind of like, I'm like, oh, I already have something similar, or I don't need that, or it looks really nice, but I don't care if I have it one way or the other. I'm like here or there, kind of a thing. So this one was a really hard question for me to answer. But I was looking on, I don't know, Instagram. It popped up on Instagram, either Trend Mood or some other page that always shares the latest, newest products. And this came up, and I was like, oh. these are gorgeous. What are these? And then I realized they were the brand new highlighters from Manny MUA. I don't even know the names of them or anything like that, but you know, I'll have a picture on the screen for you guys to see. And I just thought they looked so beautiful. The packaging, how it kind of looks like a gemstone, like an opal gemstone, and they're just so beautiful. But I for one, I don't need new highlighters. Like it's literally probably one of the last things I ever need to buy. And two, it's not that I don't want to support Manny. Maybe it is that, you know, maybe I'm just gonna say it. I guess I wouldn't be opposed to having one of his products, but it's not a brand, he is not a brand that I feel inclined to support or really promote on my channel, kind of a thing. So I kind of just like, I'm kind of crushing on that, but I really don't see myself buying it. But it is stunning. They definitely grabbed my attention, let's just say, and that doesn't really happen all that often. All right, let's move on. The one that broke your heart. And again, this is another one that I had a really hard time trying to think of, because I feel like I tend to, you know, generally like almost everything I try, which I feel like makes me the worst person to review anything, because I'm always like, oh yeah, it's good. And I don't always have, you know, really hardcore feelings one way or another about a lot of products. There are occasions where like I try something and instantly I'm like, no, I hate this, this is terrible. And then there's you know, also other occasions where I instantly, you know, really love a product. But for the most part, everything else is really middle ground for me, and nothing ever seems like really disappointing. Nothing that I've tried that I'm thinking it's going to be this and then it's terrible, you know. I don't know, I guess I don't know if I have that much expectations when it comes to products. I'm just always so middle ground a lot of the times with my expectations even. So it was really hard for me. But then when I thought about it, I realized there was one product, and it is a fairly new product, and it's the It Cosmetics Confidence in a Foundation. I do feel like that one kind of broke my heart, because that is one product that I actually did have some pretty high expectations for. Generally, I love almost everything from It Cosmetics. Almost everything they come out with, I usually like and enjoy, or it becomes a favorite. They just have really good products in my opinion, and they always just work. And this new foundation just sounded amazing. Like I really was like, I feel like I'm gonna love this. This just sounds perfect for me. And so it was a product that I actually purchased myself. Now I am on It Cosmetics PR list, and sometimes I get the, you know, releases, and sometimes I don't. And I wasn't sure if I was gonna get this, so the day that it launched, I purchased it myself, and I actually did a first impressions wear test video on it. I will link that if you haven't seen it, if you're curious at all. And then I did a second, like, kind of final update review on it in another video. So I'll link both of those for you to check out if you really want to. But I will say that, like, I don't hate the foundation, but I don't really like it either. So I do feel like it broke my heart, because it wasn't what I was expecting. I just was really expecting to love it, and when I didn't love it, that really broke my heart, because it made me sad. And I think I even said that in my final review video, that I was really sad to have to say that I don't really like this foundation. And so yeah, if I think about it, that kind of breaks my heart, because I was really thinking that I would love that foundation, and I just don't. The one you grew apart from. And this one took me a minute to kind of stop and think about all the products that I used to use that maybe I don't really use that much anymore. It's so funny, because I don't think we really take time to think about the products that we used to love and use, because there's constantly so many new products coming out, and you know, that we put in our routine, and you almost think like, oh, I've always used this, but really when you stop and think about it, you're like, no, actually, what did I use before this? And so that's when I was thinking back to, like, kind of before I started my channel, or in the beginning of when I started my channel. I know for sure when I just did my blogging, this was a palette that I used to use all the time, and I loved it, and I actually really loved this brand. And I feel like the reason why I love this brand was because it was one of the only high-end brands that I could even afford at the time, because I would buy it off of Outlook all the time. But it's the brand is The Balm, and I do still like a lot of their products now, but when I think back, it was specifically the Nude Tude palette from The Balm. Bomb. And I loved that palette because, and I actually still have it. I feel like I should kind of bust it out and see what I think about it now, but it's probably so old, who knows what the quality would be like. But I remember I just adored the packaging. I still love the packaging of the Balm products because of that vintage theme and the pinup girls, and I think that's so cute. I really love the aesthetic of their brand in general. But I remember the colors in that palette were really beautiful. Like, it was a nude palette, but they also had, like, kind of, if I remember correctly, a more burgundy purpley kind of color that I just love. And at the time, I don't think you could really find a lot of palettes or brands that carried a shadow, like, you know, in those kind of tones. And so I remember I used that palette quite a bit. I know I did a few different tutorials and looks with it on my blog. I don't think, if I remember correctly, I've done any on my channel, but I know on my blog I did several looks and stuff with it. And I remember that I really loved that palette, but I haven't used it in many years, so clearly I've grown apart from it, from that being a favorite of mine. And it's so funny and interesting to actually think back on that and remember that palette. There's just so many in my collection now. It's just, it's interesting. But anyways, moving on. The one you these questions make me laugh. They're so cute and so well thought out. I love how Lauren thought of these. But the one you'd have a fling with but never date. So so funny. This one I'm sure could be other brands, but when I tried to really dwindle it down, I really think that Pat McGrath would be. It'd be more of a brand, so not a specific product. I did put Pat McGrath palette, so maybe there's a specific palette I was thinking of, but I kind of just think in general the brand or one of her palettes. And I think it's because I'd have a fling because I want to try it, but I don't think that that's like something that that I would be committed to, you know what I mean? And not because I don't think the quality would be good, but it's just because it's such a luxury brand. It's so out of my price range. It's so out of my, you know, range of what I can afford, you know, that I couldn't imagine that being something I would want to always get all Pat McGrath products, or really be a brand that I always, you know, used. Or I don't know if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's like, I'd hate to fall in love with a product or a brand that I can't really afford, you know what I mean? So I think I would definitely have a fling because I'm really curious about them. And it's funny because I think Pat McGrath was a brand that I put in one of my videos of brands that have never really interested me. And really the main thing is because I think I said in that one, a lot of her products do remind me so much of the company that I work for, NBA Cosmetics, which is an indie brand and very different from her brand. But I feel like a lot of the sparkle, what catches my eye about the brand is like the sparkle and the metallic and the pretty, like how, you know, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, I have products that I find are very similar from NBA Cosmetics, so why am I gonna spend this money on this brand when I have these products from this brand that I already love and adore and want to support as a woman-owned indie business? You know what I mean? So that's in a sense why it never really interested me. It's because you know, for that reason. But it's not to say that she doesn't have interesting products. So you know, I want to try just for the sake to see like what is the fuss all about, but I don't think it could be committed to the brand. Number 9, the one you have a love-hate relationship with. I had a hard time answering this one as well. I feel like maybe there could be other products. I just really had a hard time thinking of anything that I have a love-hate relationship with. But the one thing that kind of comes to mind is that Jaclyn Hill Vault palette. Because I do think those palettes are absolutely stunning. And as soon as I saw them swatched when she teased them and everything, I knew I would buy them. I just thought they were so pretty. I loved that they were all in their individual, you know, smaller size palettes, because I didn't buy the original Jaclyn Hill, the large Morphe palette, because the colors didn't really speak to me, and I don't really like having large palettes like that. So this, you know, the Vault collection was really intriguing to me because it was like I said, the smaller palettes and all of the shades shades pretty much in every single palette were like, ooh, these are gorgeous, I need to have these. And so many people love and raved about the original Jaclyn Hill palette that I was like, okay, well then I need to have these other ones because the quality is going to be great, everybody loves them, you know, what can go wrong? And really, I actually had quite a tough time with those palettes, and I still use them. I actually have several tutorials with, you know, using those palettes on my channel here, and so I do use them, but I will say they are a little bit more difficult to use. They're not terrible or anything like that, so that's why I feel like this one is kind of like iffy for this answer, but I couldn't really think of anything else. I just know that I do love the shades. I think that they are beautiful. I like the idea of all the collection and all of the palettes, but they are a little bit annoying and frustrating to work with. They're not the quality I was expecting, kind of, so, or that everybody else had said that they probably would be or should be, or that Jaclyn Hill promised that they would be, I guess I should say. So I don't know, that's the one I have for my kind of love-hate relationship. I wouldn't say I hate them, but you know, that's what I got to share. Lastly, number 10, the one you gave a second chance. Now this one is, I put the Urban Decay Elements palette, and this one, again, I'm just gonna say, sorry that I keep repeating myself, I had a hard time answering this question because I'm like, what have I given a second chance? What didn't I like at first that I gave a second chance? And it's really hard for me to think. It was hard for me to remember, at least. I'm sure there are plenty that I've given second chances, but I couldn't really think of any off the top of my head. And so then I remembered that I feel like the Urban Decay Elements palette is one that I gave a second chance. I'm pretty sure that I did do a first impressions review of it, or like my thoughts on it, and I think that it wasn't like it wasn't a bad review or anything like that, but I don't think at first originally it was a palette that I really like would recommend or really like that much. I thought it was a beautiful palette and everything like that, but it was kind of one that I was like, is it really worth your money? I'm not gonna, you know, I don't think so. But you know, by request, a lot of people wanted to see more looks with it, so I ended up doing quite a few more looks on my channel with it. I want to say at least 3, maybe 4 different tutorials with it on my channel here, and I ended up kind of really liking it a lot more than I originally did when I first reviewed it. Again, I think initially the price was the biggest factor for me, and the fact that there was only like 2 or 3 mattes in it, which is kind of a thing that I guess Urban Decay does a lot. But you know, that aside, I do think it's a beautiful palette. I did give it several other chances, and I really loved every look that I created with it. The quality was really nice, and so yeah, I guess that's kind of my answer. I feel like it's a lame answer. But that was really the only thing I could kind of think of that I gave a second chance to, and really like it. So I still feel like if it's full price, I don't think it's worth it. I know some people have said, you know, the Elements palette is on sale, is it worth it? And I think the sale price, definitely much more worth it, but full price, nah, I don't like that price. But anyways, that is it. That's all 10 of the questions from the Makeup Romances tag, and I had a lot of fun kind of answering, even though I kind of struggled a little bit with what to put in there. So I hope you guys still found it, you know, enjoyable and entertaining to hear my makeup romances. Again, I do want to encourage you guys to head on over to check out Lauren's original video if you haven't already, and subscribe to her. She is amazing, one of my favorite YouTubers, so I think you guys will really enjoy her if you haven't discovered her already. But with all that being said, I just want to thank you so much for watching, and until next time, much love and hugs to you. Bye, beauty babes. Mwah.